Derek does it again. Edward and Fergus enjoy working at the harbour, pushing and pulling trucks to and from the quay. But one day, all the engines have been working hard. One day, all the engines have been working hard all day, and the Fat Controller promised that an engine would help. It's about time, said Edward. It's about time, said Edward, because I feel worn out, said Fergus. My wheels ache so much, said Edward, because I really want to move, he said. Then the Fat Controller told anyone what engine it was. Derek had returned at last and became even more different to his own attitude. Good morning, he said. Good morning, he said in his oily voice. What are you doing here? Said Edward. Your worthy fat heir, Sir Topham Hatt, has brought me in to shunt some trucks. To where, said Fergus. Where? Said Derek. From here to there, he said, and again from here, so that I'll show you what I mean. And Derek was tricking them. He was still going to be naughty, but just then he banged some trucks. Ow, 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 went the trucks. Grrr, growled Derek. What? Grrr, growled Derek. I think the Fat Controller could see. If the Fat Controller saw that, said Edward, he will not like it. Exactly, said Fergus, and there was Derek pushing and banging some trucks. And then Fergus and Edward did not trust Diesel at all, and then Fergus and Edward did not trust Derek, and they refused to work with Derek. Derek was still pushing the trucks, and still cargo and passengers were delayed, and this was making the people complain. Later the Fat Controller was finishing his bun when he heard the call. Trouble in the harbour yard. We'll see about that. The Fat Controller came in. Why are you two not working with Diesel? I think we don't trust. Why are you two not working with Derek? He said. I think we don't trust him, sir, said Fergus. He bumped the trucks this morning, but I'm scared about him, said Edward. And then, in a quiet, hurt voice, you said you sent him packing, sir, said Edward. But the Fat Controller was a bit anxious. But I have to give Derek a second chance, he said. He's the only engine available, so you two must go back to your sheds at once. Edward and Fergus puffed sadly away. Back to the sheds. At the next morning, Edward and Fergus were still sleeping, and there was Derek. Derek's driver had not put his brakes on properly, and then Derek went bump straight into Fergus. Wake up, Fergus, he said. You have work to do. Fergus was cross and puffed away. Derek was so mean to the engines, and he did not say he was sorry to Fergus. And soon, Derek was ready to bump the trucks again, and then And then he wasn't doing it, he was told as he bumped the truck hard and the loads went everywhere. What will, gracious goodness me, said Fergus, what will the Fat Controller say? He won't like it, said Edward. Oh, that's what you're going to do, said Derek. Two worthless goody-goody telltales. Fergus and Edward did not like being told tales, so they ignored Derek. But Derek was still in this bad attitude as he was still puffing along the line as he bumped some more trucks hard. He was so naughty, and then he didn't know that the buffers weren't safe. Derek had pushed the trucks too hard as the trucks crashed into the buffers while the buffers weren't secured. Derek pushed the trucks too hard as the trucks fell into the water. Later that night, some cranes lifted the trucks back on the rails, but they couldn't find the garbage and the clay because the garbage and the clay were lost. And now Derek realised that the Fat Controller wasn't happy with him. Derek realised that the Fat Controller wasn't happy. Right, said the Fat Controller. From now on you have been having too much chances, Derek, he said, because you have gone too far, and I won't be inviting you back. Edward and Fergus, said the Fat Controller, I hope you don't mind handling the work by yourselves. Oh no, sir, said Fergus. Yes, please, sir, said Edward. And then Fergus and Edward puffed away, and Derek sulked silently backwards, all the way to where he was supposed to go. He had done a very silly thing indeed. So he chuffed along, sent home in disgrace, and never to come back to the railway again. He had returned already, but he will not come back again. And he really won't, as he chuffed all the way to home. While Fergus and Edward were enjoying themselves again.